12-year-old Tommy Malone was a small-town kid who loved spending his weekends at the local arcade. The arcade was dimly lit, filled with flashing lights, the hum of machines, and the sound of coins clinking into slots. But Tommy's favorite game wasn't the pinball machines or the racing simulators. It was the claw machine. He'd stand for hours, studying the pile of stuffed animals and trinkets, perfecting his timing, trying to beat the odds. One Saturday afternoon, his eye caught something unusual in the claw machine. A gold ring. It shimmered beneath the glass, nestled between a teddy bear and a cheap plastic dinosaur. Intrigued, Tommy emptied his pockets of quarters and began his mission. The claw descended over and over, scraping past the ring but never quite snagging it. On his last quarter, with a deftness he didn't know he possessed, Tommy finally hooked the ring and dragged it triumphantly to the prize chute. The ring felt heavier than it looked, its surface etched with faint, unrecognizable symbols. It seemed oddly warm, almost alive, as he slid it onto his finger. That's when things began to change. The first sign was subtle. On his way home, Tommy kicked a soda can down the sidewalk, and it bounced perfectly into a trash can 20 feet away. He shrugged it off as a coincidence, but later that night, things got stranger. He flipped through the channels on his TV and stopped on a game show. For fun, he blurted out the answers before the contestants did and got every single one right. At school, Tommy's good luck became the talk of the playground. He guessed every question on a pop quiz correctly, even though he hadn't studied. He managed to find a $20 bill on the ground during recess, and during a dodgeball game, he dodged every throw with miraculous ease, almost as if the balls curved away from him at the last second. It didn't take long for Tommy to realize the source of his newfound fortune: the ring. With the ring, Tommy became unstoppable. He started taking risks he never would have before. He'd cross busy streets without looking, climb the tallest trees without a second thought, and skate down the steepest hills in town without a helmet. No matter what he did, he always came out unscathed, triumphant, and more confident than ever. His friends grew concerned. "Tommy, you've got to stop acting like nothing can hurt you," his best friend Jake pleaded one day, after Tommy narrowly avoided a speeding car. "Just because you're lucky doesn't mean you're invincible." Tommy laughed. "Relax, Jake. The ring's got me covered. Nothing bad can happen to me." But Jake wasn't the only one worried. Even Tommy's parents noticed his reckless behavior and tried to rein him in. But Tommy was drunk on his own invincibility, and no one could convince him otherwise. One evening, Tommy and his friends were hanging out near the old highway on the edge of town. It was a spot no one visited much anymore. But Tommy had an idea. "Let's play a game," he said with a mischievous grin. "I'll run across the highway and back without getting hit." His friends froze. "Are you crazy?" Jake shouted. "That's not a game. It's suicide." Tommy waved him off. "Relax, I've got the ring. Watch this." Before anyone could stop him, Tommy sprinted toward the highway. Cars zoomed by at breakneck speeds, their horns blaring as Tommy weaved effortlessly through the chaos. His friends watched in horror as he reached the other side unscathed, laughing triumphantly. "See? Nothing can touch me," Tommy shouted, holding up his hand to show the ring. But as he sprinted back across, something unexpected happened. The ring, now slick with sweat, slid off his finger. It clattered onto the pavement, gleaming in the headlights of an oncoming truck. Tommy skidded to a halt, his heart pounding, and instinctively bent down to grab it. The truck driver never saw him in time. When the police arrived, the ring lay untouched on the asphalt, unremarkable now without its bearer. Tommy's friends could hardly speak, their faces pale with shock. Jake picked up the ring and held it in his trembling hand. For a moment he considered sliding it onto his finger, but then he threw it as far as he could into the woods. Some say luck is like a fire. It can warm you, but if you're not careful, it can burn everything to ashes. Tommy had been consumed by its glow, forgetting that even the luckiest among us can stumble when we no longer fear falling. And in the end, luck is never a guarantee. It's just a coin toss, waiting for its inevitable flip.